what we want to do right now is use some of the reaction, some of the hate, some of the blood-boiling reaction to Indiana being a top 5 team in the college football playoff rankings to kind of just set the framework for this game and our conversation around it, Tom. So I'm gonna throw out some of the comments and we'll put them at the bottom of the screen here. Ryan Russillo from The Ringer does a great job. Is a phenomenal program there. It is very highly viewed and interacted with. Says that we need to stop pretending Indiana's undefeated season puts it on par with some SEC schools, even ones with multiple losses. I'm over all of it. Tom, has he looked at Texas? Has he looked at where the Longhorns are in the SEC with a loss and with a strength of schedule? Who's their best win? Vanderbilt?
Vanderbilt. Texas is fraudulent. If they lose to Texas A&M, they could still be out based on brand. You might try and keep them in somehow. Russillo's point was saying that the wins that Indiana has gotten in conference have come against 7 of the 8 worst teams in the Big Ten, and they haven't played any of the top 7 teams in the Big Ten. It's like, okay, you're about to. So again, it's something that I think is being overlooked in this entire conversation. Is everybody's talking about, well, when Ohio State wins, how Ohio State wins. What if Indiana wins this thing?
Thank you. It's
a real possibility.
Not the last time I'm going to mention that question to you, Tom. I just want to let people know that this is still a game to be played. Okay.
So I think a lot has to play out. Obviously, we continue to say this every single week. These rankings come out, but there is a legitimate argument in that. I think the way that the SEC is played and the strength of competition within there, it's been a murderer's row for Georgia and plenty of teams within that conference. So I, for one, look at Georgia and I feel worried as a Penn State fan if we were hosting the Georgia Bulldogs, because it's kind of like we've seen in the NFL and the NBA the last handful of years. If you get hot at the right time, you get your confidence, your momentum at the right time, you can do a lot of damage in the postseason. My concern is that Tennessee game sparked something for Georgia, and now they have themselves a pretty decent path the rest of the year. They got to win themselves the SEC title game. They really want to skyrocket. They still should get in, but there's a lot of teams within the SEC that would probably thump a handful of these teams that are be considered in the top 12.
Yeah, I'd say the same. And there was a response to that Ringer tweet there from Ryan Russillo. It was, college football is the only sport where the media talking about the sport actively tries to kill Cinderella stories. It's fascinating. Marcus, you're right, and I don't understand why that is. Parity is a good thing. It's fun for college football. Let us have fun. Okay,
it's a good thing, but do you want to see blowouts?
Why are we saying it's going to be a blowout? It hasn't happened yet.
Which one? Which one are we? Oh, well, you have to be
any of them. Yeah. Any of them.
Well,
right? Like BYU, Ohio State, BYU, Indiana, Ohio State.
Ohio State, BYU could be a blowout, but I think back of the 14 college football playoffs, and we've seen TCU, Cincinnati. We were just talking about Notre Dame. That was a college football national championship at one point, and everybody kind of knew they were fraudulent going into that. The whole concept was to get the best competition possible. But I think the thing I like about this is based on the teams that are right now in the top 12, even the top 15, everybody that will get to the semifinals and the final potentially will have freaking earned it. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And so look, I mean, let's there are blowouts in the NFL playoffs in the first round. We've seen it happen all the time. Okay. But then we've also seen teams get upset. So let's just not say because it looks like this on paper, it's going to be like that when they roll the ball out. Sheriff Woody is chiming in support of Indiana. He says, but Cignetti is just a one-hit wonder. But Cignetti is gone when an SEC school calls. But Indiana is just a stepping stone for Cignetti. But, enough with the buts, okay? 8 years, $72 million, 10-0, going into the horseshoe to play Ohio State. Game ain't over yet. Let's let it play out. All right, Clark, let's see what you have to say. All right, this is CFB Talk Daily.
Flashbacks to Christmas vacation there. All right, Clark.
That's right. It's that time of year. I don't know, Margot. Man, imagine Penn State or Indiana had to play Vanderbilt and then Tennessee.
Thank you for bringing that up. I don't understand why we give the SEC a pass on Alabama just wiping the floor with Mercer in November. How does that happen?
Look, Mercer's a good team, guys. Mercer could – no, come on. We're talking FCS, FBS here. That's a different story. We're not talking about 2 Power 4 teams going at it. And then Clark chimes in, I love Signetti, but Vandy would beat Indiana. Okay, moving on. Nicole Auerbach is chiming in with an interesting piece of the conversation here. The discourse shouldn't be centered on Indiana. She says it should be focused on Texas and Penn State. So we made the argument about Texas, right? Their best win right now is Vanderbilt. They have a loss. They are going to play in the SEC championship game. It would appear at this point. So, I mean, unless something crazy happens down the stretch here. And then you've got Penn State, your alma mater there. Tom, who's, I guess, best resume point is a close loss to Ohio State.
Yeah, that's about it. Well, we're hanging our hat on this year. And
right.
Number 19 Illinois at the time at home.
Yeah.
What was that? 20-7, 21-7,
21-7, and then they're back. They're back in the rankings now, so that does help you if Illinois finishes on a hot streak and they're 19-20.
If Penn State beats Minnesota this weekend, that'll have been a 6-5 Minnesota team. Then it's like just thumped now a 1-9 Purdue team. Washington is hovering around 500. I'm sure they're in that ballpark. It's like, I'm a Penn State diehard, but I agree. Like if Penn State stumbles at all between Minnesota on the road and at home against Maryland, they should be out. But you could tear apart this resume and give it to somebody else. Honestly, theoretically within the SEC.
100%. If they went out, Penn State's in. It's not even a conversation at this point to me. Same thing with Texas, which is obviously not even being talked about right now. Unless if they lose in the SEC championship game, I think you're probably still in at this point. I guess it depends on what it looks like. I don't know. I hate getting into that part of the conversation.
Let me put it to you this way, and you tell me yes or no if these are a coin flip for Penn State. Penn State, Notre Dame.
Coin flip to see if they're in or to see who would win.
50, they win or lose.
Yeah.
Alabama.
Penn State, Alabama.
You feel pretty strong about Bama on that one, don't you?
I'm a little stronger about Alabama, but I absolutely think Penn State could win that game.
Miami.
I feel better about Penn State in that game than I do Miami, but I absolutely think Miami could win that game.
Ole Miss. Ole Miss, Peach Bowl revisit just from last year.
Let's go.
Georgia.
Sign me up.
Ooh, Tennessee.
Look, if Carson Beck's playing the way he did against Tennessee, I think Georgia could beat anybody in the country, regardless of matchup or location.
But after Tennessee 11, I'm not losing sleep over too many teams. And again, it's like, all right, Penn State's in the top 12. Isn't that the point of this?
Let's look at a few other comments here. I'll just throw out a couple. This one is from an Indiana Hoosiers Reddit thread. When did IU football hurt Joey Galloway? He's really suggesting they bench Rourke for the bench QB1 for the biggest game in recent history. Actual clown noises. We've covered that. Here's one thing. Senator Tommy Tuberville, who has been active in his senatorship with NIL legislation, is saying is taking a shot at Indiana's from an Indy Star Sports headline. They went out and bought a football team. What? I mean, yes.
Newsflash. Everybody is.
They probably spent 10% of what Ohio State spent. They probably spent 10% of what Alabama and Georgia and name another team that's in the college football playoff rankings spent. Give me a break, Tubbs. Give me a break. The thing that nobody is asking, and this is where I want to end this piece of the conversation. Again, what if Indiana wins? If Indiana beats Ohio State and Columbus, is Indiana the new number 1 heading into the final week of the regular season? Now that, again, that's putting cart before the horse.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about what happens if they lose, why not what happens if they win? I don't think so. I think they'd still end up at 2 and Oregon would still be 1. Be my guess.
I think they jump Ohio State, but I'd struggle. Granted, you have Texas against Kentucky this weekend and then at Texas A&M. So it's like, that's still a little ways away. Penn State should beat Minnesota this weekend. So like if you see losses for Texas and Penn State, then yeah. But I mean, if Penn State and Texas both win, flip-flop Ohio State and Indiana, I'm fine with that. But
yeah. And then, all right, I'm sorry. I said I wasn't going to do another one, but I can't help myself. Opposite ad 39-33. Indiana doesn't have the NFL horses to match up with the big dogs.
Game's being played on Saturday, not Sundays. What are we talking about?
What?
What are we talking about?
Yes, in a one-game scenario, anything can happen, but I still think people are minimizing how insanely easy their schedule is. Good news, that has no bearing on whether they beat Ohio State or not. They won't face a top 40 team the entire season except for Ohio State. That's almost impossible. And here we are getting ready to play Ohio State. Let's let the game happen, folks. Let's play the dang game, okay? And then we could talk about it, and we could talk about all the other reactions and potential scenarios. But let's play the damn game, shall we?
Just exercise the demons today, Rhett. Let it all
and
out.
With that, we shall move on.